Hello and welcome to YHTV's How to Survive Parenting. I'm Christina Suzuma, your host of this program. And we are going to share with you right now a excerpt from one of my shows on Trinity of Life with Sandy Bothmer. It is episode 70, Creating a Balanced Environment for Children. This is an excerpt just to give you an idea of some of the topics that we'll be covering during our new series, How to Survive Parenting. So enjoy. Sandy, creating this environment that we speak of that is balanced and as a parent now and also a volunteer at the school every day, my awareness is really heightened. I become, very conscious of what's happening around me at all times. And I see a lot. And so much so, I see parents and teachers really, really wanting to do their best. Educating the child, creating this space for the child. And, here we are, parents running back and forth, working, picking up our child, doing homework, and creating that flow. And then the teachers, of course, with, I'd say on average, anywhere from, 24 to 28, 30 students in their class with no extra help. Well, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, where do you say that we can start, that we can begin this process of creating this environment?
Yeah, that's unfortunately all too true in many places. I think if we're talking about at home, and we can also relate this to the classroom, I think we, at home and in the classroom, we need to create a space, the classroom space, the home space, that has the ability to nurture and support. So what does that mean? That means having it be a place that's balanced as far as how you arrange things, that you don't have clutter all over the place. I mean, I was like the clutter queen in my classroom and quickly learned that I had to put things away at a certain point. I was so busy teaching that I didn't always put away, but realized along the way that, that creates a sense of uneasiness in myself and certainly in some of the children. And if you start to think about children who might well be on the spectrum or have anxiety issues, I mean, that's making it worse for them. So creating that space that allows for easy movement, that is balanced as far as how we've arranged things, those kinds of things, the lighting, as much natural lighting as we can have, providing our children a special place where they do their homework, where this is where you go, and this is what this place is for. And it may be, especially with young children, they need to have parents nearby. So, and it's also important, I think, for them to be in furniture that fits them.
Oh, yes.
Because ergonomics, they have their feet on the floor and have a desk or a chair. And it could be just in the corner of the dining room that they have their little space, which is close enough, or in the kitchen, say, close enough to where a parent would be to be able to help out. If there's other siblings around, you've got to watch what the noise is. Is there music playing? Is that bothersome? You have to also tune into what you're seeing. So I guess I'm saying it's a combination of how we create the space in which we live, which is important. Having, live plants around is also helpful. And then how that's used with the child. I mean, if they're doing homework and they're having trouble concentrating, well, then you need to say, okay, what's going on around here that might distract my child from getting at what needs to be done. Maybe they just need to move a little bit. Maybe you just put some Philip Sousa music on and march around the dining room table a little bit to wake up. And then turn it off and say, okay, now we've had our break. Let's see how our brain can work now. I mean, I don't know if that's helping or not, but in the classroom, it's the same kind of thing. You have spaces in the classroom and you have spaces that are for quiet things. You might have some rooms, depending on how many students they have. You're
Right.
talking big ones. They may not have spaces for a little library area.
Hmm.
There may be a computer area. You've got to think about, how do I use my space? How can I best arrange it to make it easy?
Hmm.
How do I arrange my desks so that people can move in and out? One year I had, in the classroom I had, it was 26 students, which was a lot in that space. And I was able to have interest centers and tables to work on things. And the kids, the first day, one little girl said, "Oh, Mrs. B," she says, "we're like sardines in here." And it was true. I had to take out at least two tables that were center tables so that I could make space, because they couldn't move really between. I actually had long tables of desks. I didn't have them in rows. I had space. It was just hard to move without touching someone. And if you have a kid who's sensitive to touch, or he hit me, and it was an accident, I mean, you
Right.
couldn't help but bump someone. So really being cognizant of your space and how can I best utilize that space to make it safe and to make it suitable
Hmm.
for being able to function, to be able to concentrate, and to do their best work. That's what a kid's job is. Kid's job is a student, and they go to their work, which is school, and they are there to do the best learning that they can do. So we need to give them all the advantages we can at home and in the classroom itself to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I keep thinking, oh, at home.
What if we do? Yeah.
It's like, it's because as you very well know, my home is my office. So,
Right.
so even the dining room table has
Right.
my business on it and things like that. And wow, when I can have that back, I am so glad.
I know.
And it's resorted to the kitchen area, of course, the little breakfast table.
Right.
What do you think about the desks in kids' rooms?
Having them in the room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how parents plan the kids' rooms with a desk in it so they can do their homework in it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think that may well depend upon the age of the child and
Hmm.
how able they are to focus and concentrate and not be distracted. I mean, if the room is full of their toys and their favorite things, that could make working more difficult. It does give them maybe a quieter space, perhaps. So I guess I'm kind of waffling on that because I think a lot might depend on the nature of a kid.
Right.
And how they work and what they need to be successful in completing their work. I mean, more than likely along the way, as they get older, they'll be able to handle that. I mean, a kid in high school is probably going to be able to do that. Some of them, have music blaring in their headphones, and that yet they can concentrate.
Right.
I mean, I could not do that. I was one who needed silence. I had to have a quiet
I
place.
was one that was opposite from you.
Oh, really?
I needed not blaring,
Yeah.
but I needed the music.
Yeah.
And it triggered something in my brain that I could actually absorb.
So there you go. I mean, we're two different people as
Yeah.
our children, and so many different types that parents have to be tuned in. And I think that's a big thing of it. Parents need to be aware, to be observant, and to know their child. And in today's world, it's hard to have those minutes to really be able to know, and that's the dilemma I think that a lot of families have.
Yes, it is, and especially if you have more than one child, I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, one needs this environment, the other one needs the other environment.
Yeah. So hopefully you can, if it's a two-parent family, that one can maybe help one and one help the other, because of the two parents. There's probably different styles also.
Yes.
Possibly, and that one child would be more suited with one parent than the other as far as doing the homework. So it's a lot of responsibility. I mean, if we ever knew the responsibility that was expected of us, we may never have children. The human race might not exist anymore. I don't know.
But I think I do believe that through the generations, that has evolved into a different spectrum now, because when I was growing up, yes, the parents worked, they came home, they cooked dinner, Did you do your homework? Yes. Whether you did or not? Yes. you know,
Yeah.
and I do believe that there's a certain level of consciousness today
Yeah.
where people are choosing to sort of go, okay, well, I would like to be involved with my child.
Yes.
I have to work all day. I mean, I know for us, it is that way. Yes, we
Yeah.
work all day, but that time that we spend with a child that grows so quickly, it's even though
Right.
it is homework and it is stressful, it can be very stressful.
Yeah.
But it is that time. It is that time that we are sharing with our child.
Sometimes I think that's maybe the only time that can be found because the homework has to be done. And so
Yes.
what the child is learning from you is that you care
Yes.
and that you're supporting him or her. And knowing that, if they have problems along the line, you've established and set up a precedence that, yeah, mom and dad are there for me and
Hmm.
I can count on them, coming in and helping me if I need to. So
Hmm.
that's beautiful.
Hmm.
And I would agree. I know in my own family, I see a lot of care and concern and time spent. There's a family day. My son and his children have a family day on the weekend where they do get together and do something special. And there's the homework. So yes, it's a good thing. And hopefully most families are of that mindset.
But it's very interesting. What I else I've seen is the teachers who are very strict. For example, they're very precise in the work that they want done, in the responsibilities of their students. The children love them.
Well, I would say that they've set some boundaries. They have expectations, and the kids know what those expectations are. And because it's really clear. So when you're clear, there's no wiggle room.
Yeah.
This is how it is. So I would guess that would be something that for a lot of kids really need that structure. They do need structure. It's like they need to know what's going to happen during the day. That's why in most classrooms you'll see a class plan for the day, because they need to know this happens, this. And heaven help, if something gets in the way, they will tell you, well, why can't we do such and so? Well, because we're having a school-wide assembly or something. And well, are we going to get to do that anyway? I used to have that in my classroom with centering time. We always centered after we came in and I got done with attendance and all those things that had to be done. And we came into circle and had our classroom meeting and centering time. And
Oh, wonderful.
they missed the centering. If we had first thing in the morning, you had to get to the assembly, there
Hmm.
was a lot of, commotion about, well, what about centering? So
Mm,
I knew that was a really important piece of their day because it set the tone.
right.
Set the tone for how we were going to move forward and approach our work.
Mm, mm,
Doesn't mean to say that we didn't have to, go back and maybe quiet a bit again to be able to get to that place to be able to do good work. But
right.
yeah, and,
Mm,
and on some level, which I don't know that they could articulate, they seem to recognize that it was helpful. It was important for getting them in a quiet place to be able to
mhm.
move into the day and get at their work,
Mm, mm.
which I found interesting.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yes, because I can see. I mean, as an adult and as we practice yoga and different things in our life, and energetic medicine is always about that grounding, that
Yeah.
stillness before you begin.
Right.
And is there a specific um, when they come into the circle, were there specific techniques that you would work with them, Sandy?
Yeah, well, some of the time it would, of course, depend.
Mm-hmm.
We would do a focusing activity. I might have a plant that I would put in the center, like a fern, say, and they would be invited to just gaze at the fern, or they could softly close their eyes. And the fern was there because some families prefer that they not do that. So I have to honor
Mm.
that, not close their eyes. And
Really?
so, yes, there was a situation in the upper school where that was an issue. And so once I got wind of that, I thought, okay, I just want to be safe with all this because we're just relaxing. But
Mm,
for some families, that didn't feel right. So I had
mm,
that fern, something to look at, and we would just sit quietly and focus. Now there would be those children that would go into Gyana Mudra, because they had parents that they knew did yoga, and they would sit there like that and with a nice long spine. There would be the kids that would giggle and laugh, but over time, because it was new, they learned that this was a stillness piece. Sometimes we would have some paper and a pencil, and we would draw. And so we would look at that fern in the center and draw from where we were sitting what it looked like to us, and then complete that piece, and then just walk around the circle and look at everybody's drawing, and to notice that the drawings looked different. And why did they look different? Because they were seeing that same fern from a different perspective. And then you
mm,
could talk about how we see life, how we see situations, that we see it from our perspective and not necessarily someone else's, which could, get you into any kind of conflict
mhm, mhm.
resolution or something like that. So that would be just a, way. Sometimes in the circle I had shells or stones, and I would just, to make it easy, I would give them each one, and they would hold that in their hands and just sit quietly and connect with that
Mm,
stone, as
beautiful.
a, as especially, even put it up to their heart. I mean, you could do that also. Um, so that would be one way, and then we might do some breathing techniques, just to be able to relax. I might teach them just how to breathe in and out slowly. With children, I'm trying to think, 8 or younger, I probably wouldn't get into a really involved description of how we breathe in, the 3-part breathing. I might use a Beanie Baby or a little boat or a rubber ducky on the belly, and have them with a partner, so that one is the breather and one is the observer. So the observer is watching to see if that Beanie Baby went on a ride with the belly going up and down as you breathe in and out, or ride the
Right.
waves with the boat, or the rubber ducky riding the waves. Um, there is a breathing technique that's I would do, that would be just to release energy if we're
Mhm.
kind of wired up and too noisy or whatever, and we would just breathe in and puff out and puff out and puff out until the breath coming out became soft and lighter than it was at the start. And
Mhm,
that's good for all of us if
mhm,
we are, feeling a bit anxious, or just jittery inside, nervous,
mhm,
whatever.
mhm, mhm.
So those would be,
Wow, that's wonderful. That's really so. This would be almost like a 10 or 15 minute quiet time, really.
well, it would depend. I would have to, I usually didn't spend more than 15 minutes at circle time.
Mhm,
So
circle
maybe,
time.
or I guess I called it community meeting, classroom, whatever you want to, but, yeah, I mean, if you're drawing, it's definitely going to take longer. If you are just focused on what's ever in the middle, it could be a vase of flowers. It would be much less. I mean, you got to look at the age of your kids. I think it's Eric Jensen that says children can only sit as long as they are years old. So if that's the case,
Interesting.
a 6-year-old can maybe handle 6 minutes. Think about that in a regular classroom, in the classroom, and how
Mm,
much sitting there is. They really need the movement to help their bodies, and to help their brains work.
yeah, yeah,
So it would depend, and I would have to know, what the day was like, and what else had to be done, and what was my focus. What
right.
did I need to look at?
I hope you enjoyed that quick clip of Sandy Bothmer. Again, this is, if you'd like to see the full 60-minute version, it is on Trinity of Life, episode 70, Creating a Balanced Environment for Children. So during this, please remember that you can comment and give suggestions or ask a question of Ms. Bothmer just by scrolling down on your screen and adding it to the comment box. Or if you prefer, give us a call at 818 Let's Talk. 818 Let's Talk. And if you do so, remember to leave your name and contact information, such as your phone number or your email address, so we can respond to you and we can make sure that we acknowledge your gift to us of being involved. YHTV was created to revolve around you. Actually, all of Yoga Hub was created as such. This being a strong arm of Yoga Hub now, it really continues to give back to community, to share with you what you might need to create balance in your life. And of course, our children are so important. Not only do I call them our Zen masters, they really share with us and continue to remind us to continue to find balance in our life. Because as we find balance for them, we do so for ourselves as well, if we choose to. So, How to Survive Parenting is definitely coming strong this coming 2014, and we look forward to your participation and your support. Again, if you have any comments, suggestions, if you know of any expert or speaker that you feel we should interview, please don't hesitate to contact us or have them contact us. Sometimes it's just easier as a fan to contact us directly, and we will reach out to the individuals. This is our survival kit. This is not just my survival kit, but yours as well. And for those parents who are soon to be parents, there is a lot to learn from this. And it's just so many facets of parenting and how long it goes for. It really is for years to come. Once we have children, we are parents. So be sure to check out our other shows that we have slated for 2014. We are planning to start 2014 with quite a bang. And of course, in the beginning, the first month of whatever year it might be, we are still in the stages of creating the foundation. Right when we hit Lunar New Year is when we do our biggest blast out there. So bear with us, come enjoy, come play in our virtual sandbox with us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Again, this is Christina Suzuma, and until next time, namaste. YHTV's Magical Medical Tour. Come join Dr. Glenn Woolman and Christina Suzuma as they journey through the healthcare galaxy, interviewing doctors, healthcare practitioners in the attempt to share ways to achieve optimal health. Join us on yogahub.tv every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Breathing is a very important part of everything we do. And in the Wallman metaphor square breath, if you can imagine or see the picture of a square, in the bottom left-hand corner is an A, and then up in the left-hand corner is B, then over is C, and then at the bottom right is D. This is the metaphor square breath. If you think about it, when a person is born, the first thing that they do in life that declares that they're an individual is to take a deep breath, and that's inspiration, and we make that inspirational.